Hi everyone, I'm Linda Reimer, one of the librarians at the Southeast Bend County Library. Welcome to Library Connections, our weekly readers, viewers, and listeners advisory videocast. Enjoy. Library Connections number 23, hosted by SSCL librarian Linda Reimer. This videocast is being recorded on Thursday, October 8th, 2020. Kicking things off with the top 5 fiction bestsellers for this week, courtesy of the New York Times. At number 1, we have The Return by Nicholas Sparks. A doctor serving in the Navy in Afghanistan goes back to North Carolina, where 2 women change his life. At number 2, Battleground by Jim Butcher, the 17th book in the Dresden Files series. Harry must save Chicago from destruction by the last Titan. And if you like fantasy mystery series, you might want to check this series out. The first book is called Stormfront. The current one is Battleground. At number 3, The Evening and the Morning by Ken Follett. In a prequel to The Pillars of the Earth, a boat builder, a Norman noblewoman, and a monk live in England under attack by both the Welsh and the Vikings, and that novel is set in the early 11th century. At number 4, we have a collection of poetry titled Violet Bent Backwards Over the Grass by Lana Del Rey, a collection of poems by the singer and songwriter with a challenging title. You might try saying that several times fast and see how you do. But I digress. At number 5, The Book of Two Ways by Jodi Picoult. After surviving a plane crash, a death doula travels to Egypt to reconnect with an old flame who is an archaeologist. And moving along to the top 5 nonfiction bestsellers for this week. At number 1, The Meaning of Mariah Carey, written by Mariah Carey with Michaela Angela Davis. The career, highlights, public life, and private struggles of the singer and songwriter. At number 2, Rage by Bob Woodward. Based on 17 on-the-record interviews with President Trump and other reporting, the Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist details the president's perspective on multiple crises. At number 3, Caste by Isabel Wilkerson. The Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist examines aspects of caste systems across civilizations and reveals a rigid hierarchy in America today. At number 4, Killing Crazy Horse by Bill O'Reilly and Martin Dugard. The 9th book in the conservative commentator's Killing series focuses on conflicts with Native Americans. And at number 5, Trumpty Dumpty Wanted a Crown by John Lithgow, a second illustrated collection of poems chronicling and satirizing current events. Our first recommended read for this week is Every Now and Then, a novel written by Leslie Kagan. Kagan skillfully spins a nostalgic tale about a group of preteens who uncover their town's terrible secret. As headstrong 11-year-olds in tiny Summit, Wisconsin, Elizabeth Biz Buchanan, Frances Frankie Machani, and Vivian Viv Cleary spend the sultry summer of 1960 looking for adventure and trying to stay in the good graces of Biz's Aunt Jane May, who has helped Biz's physician father raise Biz after her mother died shortly after Biz was born. In addition to speculating about Jane May's romantic prospects and the meddling of a busybody out to depose Summit's elderly mayor, the girls agree on a dare to explore their town's creepy mental hospital, Broadhurst, home to the criminally insane, including a notorious child killer. In between harmless preteen pranks and innocent explorations, the girls enjoy an idyllic summer, until their fascination with Broadhurst as a chamber of horrors turns into a nightmare. Kagan perfectly portrays the sense of invincibility felt by the young girls, whose lives have not yet been touched by tragedy. Colorful secondary characters, especially Mayor Bud, underpin a taut plot. This fast-paced and suspenseful outing will captivate Kagan's fans and do much to win her new ones. And that is the starred review from Publishers Weekly. And that one is definitely going on my to-read list. Our second recommended read of this week is a bit heavier. This is a history. It's brand new. It's getting excellent reviews. It's called The Last Million: Europe's Displaced Persons from World War to Cold War by David Nassau. Historian Nassau, known for biographies of industrial moguls, turns his attentive gaze on the period immediately following the end of World War II in Europe. When the Third Reich finally collapsed in May 1945, millions of displaced persons, including forced laborers and prisoners of war, were stranded in the ruins of Germany. Not all were blameless victims, notes the author. Many, especially from the Baltic states, were anti-communists who had willingly joined the Waffen-SS and thrown themselves into the killing of Jews, Roma, and other undesirable people. This masterful book centers on displaced Eastern Europeans who, when the shooting stopped, refused to go home or had no homes to return to. Some were Polish Catholics who had been forced to work in German factories, but had no wish to return to a homeland occupied by Soviet troops. A small minority, fewer than 30,000, were Jewish survivors of the Shoah who tried to repatriate themselves to Germany, only to find that they were not wanted, and so moved on, eventually, to Israel and the US. And those Eastern European Nazis? Australia took in many of them, favoring white Protestant Latvians and Estonians who were volubly anti-communist. As Nassau writes, Australia resettled more refugees than any other nation, though only 4.5% were Jews. Britain favored Polish soldiers who had fought under British command, as well as 1,000 single young female Latvian, Lithuanian, and Estonian displaced persons who were recruited to work in understaffed tuberculosis sanitarium. Canada screened rigorously for evidence of Nazi collaboration and admitted more Jews than other Commonwealth nations, while the US overlooked wrongdoing almost entirely. One of Nassau's many intriguing cases in point is a Romanian Iron Guard leader who became a faux preacher and was invited by Richard Nixon to deliver the opening prayer at the convening of the 1955 Senate session. Deported to Portugal in the early 1980s, he died a free man. A searching, vigorously written history of an unsettled time too little known to American readers. And that is the starred Kirkus review of our second recommended read for this week. Moving on to our first audiobook recommendation of the week. This is an oldie but a goodie and just added to the digital catalog. It is the third in Sue Grafton's alphabet series of mysteries, C is for Corpse, written of course by Sue Grafton and read by Mary Piper. Kinsey Malone's latest client, Alvin Lamardo, whose real name is John Daggett, turns up dead. The police call it an accident, but too many people hated Daggett to suit Kinsey. Mary Piper does an exceptional job reading this first-rate whodunit. Male and female voices are easily differentiated, and Kinsey herself is brought to life neither too masculine nor cutesy. The narrative voice and style are consistent and well-paced as the mystery unravels. Piper and Grafton are a dynamite pairing. They should leave listeners wanting for more. And this, along with the first two books in the series, A is for Alibi and B is for Burglar, are available as audiobooks in the digital catalog now. Our second audiobook recommendation of the week is called The Christmas Table. And I can hear people groan inwardly right now, why is she recommending a Christmas title? It's just the first week of October. Well, that's true, but I'm recommending this now because if you want to put a hold on it in the digital catalog, you might not actually get it until December. And also because this is a hopeful tale, and I don't know about you, but considering the current climate that we're living in, a hopeful tale sounds really good to me. So I'm going to recommend this book. It's called The Christmas Table, a novel written and read by Donna Van Leer. From Donna Van Leer, the New York Times bestselling author of the Christmas Hope series, comes another heartwarming, inspirational story for the holidays, The Christmas Table. In June 1972, John Craigton determines to build his wife Joan a kitchen table. His largest project to date has been picture frames, but he promises to have the table ready for Thanksgiving dinner. Inspired to put something delicious on the table, Joan turns to her mother's recipes, the ones her mother gave her when she and John married. Going forward to June 2012, Lauren Mabry discovers she's pregnant. Gloria, Miriam, and the rest of her friends at Gloria's place begin to pitch in, helping Lauren prepare their home for the baby. On a visit to the local furniture builder, Lauren finds a table that he bought at a garage sale, but has recently refinished. Once home, a drawer is discovered under the table, which contains a stack of recipe cards. Growing up in one foster home after another, Lauren never learned to cook and is fascinated as she reads through the cards. Personal notes have been written on each one, from the mother to her daughter, and time and again, Lauren wonders where they lived, when they lived, and in a strange way, she feels connected to this mother and her daughter and wants to make the mother proud. The story continues to and from 1972 to 2012 as Joan battles breast cancer and Lauren learns to cook, preparing for the arrival of her baby. As Christmas nears, can Lauren unlock the mystery of the table and find the peace she's always longed for? You'll have to listen to the audiobook to find out, but a happy ending is assured. And this week I'm adding a new section to our Library Connections video. This is a Hoopla recommendation of the week. As you may recall, if you saw last week's Library Connections, I mentioned that Hoopla is a new service the library is offering its card holders. To use Hoopla, you must have a Southeast Steuben County library card. If you don't have one and you'd like one, contact the library. To tell if you do have one, take a look at your card. If it starts out 10014, then you have a Corning library card. The Hoopla catalog features eBooks, audiobooks, streaming videos, including TV shows and movies, and comic books, all available for instant checkout. You can check out a maximum of 4 items per month. At the present time, you can check them out all at once or one per week, whatever you want to do, up to a total of 4. So this week I'm going to recommend an audiobook from the Hoopla catalog. This is brand new, just came out. It's called Confessions on the 745, written by Lisa Unger and read by Vivian Lahaney. #1 New York Times bestselling author of An Anonymous Girl, from master of suspense Lisa Unger comes a riveting thriller about a chance encounter that unravels a stunning web of lies and deceit. Be careful to whom you tell your darkest secrets. Selena Murphy is commuting home from her job in the city when the train stalls out on the tracks. She strikes up a conversation with a beautiful stranger in the next seat, and their connection is fast and easy. The woman introduces herself as Martha and confesses that she's been stuck in an affair with her boss. Selina, in turn, confesses that she suspects her husband is sleeping with their nanny. When the train arrives at Selina's station, the two women part ways, presumably never to meet again. But days later, Selina's nanny disappears. Soon, Selina finds her once perfect life upended, as she is pulled into the mystery of the missing nanny, and as the fractures in her marriage grow deeper, Selina begins to wonder, who was Martha really? But she is hardly prepared for what she'll discover. Expertly plotted and reminiscent of the timeless classic Strangers on a Train, Confessions on the 745 is a gripping thriller about the delicate facades we create around our lives. Moving on to our first streaming recommendation for this week. It's a new TV series called The Right Stuff, available through Disney+. The 1983 movie version of Tom Wolfe's 1979 nonfiction bestseller, titled The Right Stuff, is one of its era's best films, a semi-comedic, semi-mythic take on the macho culture of the space program in the early 1960s. The new The Right Stuff, revived as a television series, has more modest aims, focusing on the interpersonal conflicts among NASA's first astronauts, later known as the Mercury Seven. A cast filled with familiar faces, including Patrick J. Adams as John Glenn, Colin O'Donoghue as Gordon Cooper, and Jake McDorman as Alan Shepard, the ensemble convey the Mercury Seven's mixed feelings of pride and anxiety over this new adventure in a period drama combining the excitement of space travel with an up-and-close personal look at the flawed men who flew high. And that's part of the review from the New York Times. So if you like space flight and historical stories, that's going to be a good one. Moving on to our second streaming recommendation for this week, it's the film Election from 1999, available through Amazon Prime Video. An insidiously funny black comedy, far superior to the book from which it was adapted, Election returns Matthew Broderick to the milieu that made him famous, high school. But this time, he's not Ferris Bueller, and there are no days off for him. Broderick plays overworked teacher Jim McAllister, whose frustration with an unsatisfactory personal life colors his judgment and propels him into conflict with the school's Little Miss Prim. Insufferable overachiever Tracy Flick, who's running for student body president, and who will do anything to beat popular, good-natured jock Paul Metzler, a reluctant candidate encouraged by McAllister. The battle lines are thus drawn, teacher against student, and it's anybody's guess who will emerge victorious. Director Alexander Payne, who co-wrote the script based on Tom Perotta's novel, recreates with amazing fidelity the countless little cruelties, minor disappointments, and petty grievances that often make high school such an interminable ordeal. He's especially perspicacious in his portrayal of the feckless McAllister, whose tiniest indiscretions have a way of snowballing into massive crises. Ironic situations, tart dialogue, deftly lined characters, and dexterous direction are rarely found in such felicitous combination, and that uniquely winning formula makes Election a minor masterpiece of modern comedy. And that is the Barnes & Noble review. Our final streaming recommendation for this week is The Witches, a 1990 film available through Netflix now, and this is something of a seasonal favorite, but it's a fun film and I thought I'd recommend it as a light and upbeat watch. A delightfully playful bedtime story with a wicked sense of humor, this family adventure is adapted from a novel by Roald Dahl and comes with his deliciously dark and cynical worldview intact. Younger viewers will treasure its inventive and convincing special effects, as well as the empathetic protagonist, a recent orphan whose grandmother helps him sniff out a society of witches. Meanwhile, parents will enjoy the vampy leading performance by Angelica Houston, who invests her character with high style and an outrageous accent. Our critic called it a fanciful film for savvy children and a witty, well-made movie for their parents. And that is the New York Times review. And moving right along to our Odd Duck recommendation of the week. Hi everyone, my recommendation for Odd Duck this week is to have a birthday party for PBS, which is celebrating the 50th anniversary of their first national show. And you guessed it, it was The French Chef with Julia Child, which made its debut on October 4th, 1970, 50 years ago this week. So I'm going to recommend that you sit down with a glass of wine or your beverage of choice, make some microwave popcorn, bake a pizza, get ready and have an evening at home celebrating PBS by watching great PBS content. Now you can do that either through your TV on the traditional cable route, or you can do it on demand by either going to the WSKG website, the PBS website, or using the PBS app, which I'm going to talk about in just a moment. If you go to wskg.org, which is what we see here, this is our local PBS affiliate out of Binghamton. You can click on TV or radio, and you will get the schedule, and then you'll find links to whatever show is on right now. Having said that, I like the national interface, the interface of the national website, I should say, a little bit better. And this is it, pbs.org. You can just click on whatever you want to watch. Here's Flesh and Blood down here in the left-hand corner, the first episode of the latest Masterpiece Theater. The new show Tell Me More with Kelly Corrigan, Antiques Roadshow, PBS NewsHour, American Portrait, great stuff. You just click on it to watch it. Now, gone are the days where you have to go by the schedule on your TV, and you don't have to sit in front of your computer either, because nowadays there are apps for mobile devices and media streaming players and smart TVs. So you can actually sit down in your living room and watch Masterpiece Theater, Nova, or Nature on that big screen. There are more than 4,000 PBS and local shows available on demand, and these are some of the most popular ones. There's a new season of Finding Your Roots coming out this month, so that should be great. And you can download for free from your app store the PBS app for iOS, those are Apple devices, Android devices, Roku media streamers and Roku TVs, Apple TV streamers, Android TV streamers, Amazon Fire TV streamers, and Chromecast streamers. So if you've got a streaming device, a media streaming player, or you have a smart TV, you can put the PBS app on it, and you can watch PBS shows to your heart's content whenever you are ready, on demand. So have a birthday celebration for PBS sometime this week and enjoy yourself. And that is our Odd Duck for this week. And moving on to our photos of the week, at left we have a cute cat photo showing Jules and Piper taking a nap, and at right a really cool sunset. That photo was taken on the north side of Corning, and I just thought that the sky was gorgeous and that I would share the photo. If you have questions about this weekly video cast, let me know. Send an email to me at reimerl@stls.org. Again, that's Reimer, R-E-I-M-E-R, first initial L, @stls.org. And that is the end of Library Connections content for this week. New content, that is. What follows are the informational credits. The credits include links to articles used to create this week's video, directions as to how to access the library's website, catalogs, blogs, and social media pages, and the library's contact information. So if you've already heard all the rest of that because you're a long-time watcher of Library Connections, you can pause the video now. And if you're still with me, that's great. I'm going to talk about web pages here clockwise from the top left-hand corner. We see the library's website, found at ssclibrary.org. You can click on the catalogs link on our homepage to register for programs. You can click on the catalogs link to have access to the digital catalog, StarCat, the catalog of physical materials, Hoopla, our new catalog of digital content. Moving along to the top right-hand corner is the SSCL schedule and appointment page. That is for curbside pickup. It's found at ssclibrary.org/appointment. Curbside pickup is not currently available, but will be again starting on October 26th. So if you wish to still make a curbside pickup appointment instead of coming in the library starting on October 26th, you may do so. In the bottom right-hand corner, you see the Hoopla catalog, the library's new service. You can get eBooks, audiobooks, comic books, streaming videos, which includes both movies and TV shows on demand, up to a maximum of 4 items per month from the Hoopla catalog. And bottom left-hand corner is StarCat, the catalog of physical library materials, including print books, DVDs, etc. So if you want to request the latest John Grisham, which is coming out shortly, you'll be able to do that through StarCat, assuming you want a print copy. Moving on to our second page of library resources you can access from home. On the left side of the page, we see the digital catalog found at stls.overdrive.com. This is the web version of Overdrive, also known as the digital catalog. There are 2 apps you can use to access this on your mobile devices. The one at left is Libby, that's for new devices. The one at right is Overdrive, that's for older devices. You can also download eBooks to a Kindle e-reader. If you have questions about how to do that, call the library and ask us. We'll be happy to walk you through it. On the right-hand side of the page, RB Digital, found at rbdigital.com/STLS Chemung, CONY, or you can just download the RB Digital app to access 3,000 magazines available on demand. The library has blogs that are indeed full of fun content, including the Book Club for Adults, Corning NY History, the local history blog, Creation Stationery, the Makerspace blog, Story Musings, the blog hosted by the library's resident author and head of adult services, Michelle Wells, which is found at storymusings.blogspot.com, and Tech and Book Talk, which is what it sounds like. We talk about good books that you might want to read and a little bit about how to use technology. If you have questions about library services during the pandemic, or at any time actually, but right now during the pandemic, or if you'd like to make an appointment for curbside pickup, because once we reopen, we will still be offering that, you are welcome to simply go the traditional route and give us a call. The library's telephone number is area code 607-936-3713. When the library reopens on Monday, October 26th, at our home and Civic Center Plaza, we will be open the following hours. On Mondays and Fridays from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., on Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., and we will be closed on Sundays. Now on Wednesdays, for the time being, during the pandemic, we're going to do something a little different, and the library will be closed to the general public, but open for pre-registered students from 8:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. to accommodate the Corning Painted Post School District's virtual learning days. And one last note on this subject for the moment. I'll talk about all of this more as we get closer to October 26th, but I've mentioned this point before and I'm going to mention it again. When the library reopens on October 26th, You will be able to drop in and browse. You will not need to make an appointment to do so. Now, if the building is at social distancing capacity, when you come into the library, there will be a greeter's desk there. And if that is the case, then you'll simply be told that you have to wait a few minutes. Everyone will have 20 minutes to come in and browse. So just keep that in mind, starting October 26th. Social media, just a weekly reminder. You can connect with the library, read library news, and post questions to the library via social media. The library has pages on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. In relation, each video in this series is available on demand via the library's YouTube channel after it has first been shown on Facebook Live. Here is the first page of our references for this week. Second page of our references for this week.
And that's the program for this week. I'll be back next week with another edition of Library Connections.